Hey, y'all. So, checking in. We are a few days out from the biopsy that they did on a very small, what they said a very teeny like shadow that they saw on the imaging. And the sample, you know, it loads oftentimes, at least in the health system we're a part of, your results tend to load in MyChart even before the providers see it and actually contact you, which is the absolute worst. And it's actually how I found out initially years ago that my breast cancer was confirmed in 2020, right? So it's a terrible system. It's a terrible process, right? That's a whole nother conversation of the medical process that has happened to me in this whole experience so far as well, but we'll save that for another day. But anyway, the biopsy results load in MyChart, and they say basically no signs of carcinoma, right? Which means no cancer cells were showing up in the tissue samples that they pulled, okay? So the nurse of the primary provider who has been, making these referrals for me to get additional imaging calls and says, hey, I'm calling in place of, the doctor to give you updates on your sample, right? Or your biopsy. And she says that my results were inconclusive. Now, I don't know. I don't work in the medical field, okay? I'm a PhD and not an MD, okay? However, from my understanding of the English vernacular, inconclusive and no signs of carcinoma are two very distinct and different things, okay? So, because I have been exhausted by dealing with the health system, I did not argue, right? I just said, okay, great, thanks, right? Her recommendation at that point was, okay, because that's, we don't know, basically, we want to move forward with the spine biopsy, right? Which they had already told me before that if they did not get any information from the hip biopsy, which was the least invasive process, that they would want to do the one on the spine because there is clear degeneration happening on one of my vertebrae, and it will need surgery, right, to stabilize it. That is clear. That is what we do know, right? But again, they still do not know fully why. And while the doctor did tell me that he is basically 100% sure that metastatic is what is happening, right? Again, I'm still not convinced. I believe that it ain't over until God says it's over. Like, I don't know how else to say, I don't know how else to say it, right? Without appearing just crazy, right? And maybe I am crazy, right? Maybe I am just delusional right now, right? And if I am, then it's on the record, okay? It's on the record. It's on the record, right? But I just believe that expectation forces God to move. And so I am standing firm. I am reminding myself of my truths. And if you are in this same space, right? Or if you are in this space later, right? You may not be experiencing it in the same moment in time as I am. But if you are, I want to share with you 3 things that have absolutely allowed me to stay steady during this time. Number 1 is my support system. My tribe, Team Thrive, is unmatched. Okay? The village is unmatched. They fill in the gap, not just physically by showing up and being present and sometimes just sitting in silence, but they fill the gap spiritually. I know that they are praying for me. I know that they are petitioning heaven on my behalf. And everybody deserves that. Everybody deserves that type of love and support and outpouring, right? When you cry, they cry with you, right? So that's number 1. Number 2, professional support. Okay? So listen, there's a difference between, being able to vent to your friends and being able to, share your frustration with them, right? But for most of us, those folks are not fully trained in crisis management, in cognitive distortions for when your mind is closing the loop or the enemy is messing with your mind and causing you overwhelming and paralyzing fear, right? So my professional network of support, which does include our family therapist, and then I also have an individual therapist, right? So really tapping in with those experts, okay, to help me just unpack, right, what I'm experiencing, helping me be present, helping me be intentional, helping me ground, helping me return to myself, right? And for me, I feel extra, extra special because both our family therapist and my individual therapist are people of faith. And so there are moments when the Spirit intercedes and there's just a word spoken and an understanding, right, that goes beyond traditional mental health. So critical, super, super critical, okay? That second layer of reinforcement, super, super critical. And then the third one, right, is my relationship with the Lord. And listen, if y'all don't know him and y'all don't have a relationship with him, or if y'all ain't talked to him in a long time, right? Listen, don't wait for crisis to hit, okay? Because listen, it's like, think of it like, I actually told one of my friends this before, right? So think of it like you're on the phone and you are talking to your best friend, right? Y'all talk all the time. Y'all, know you may even start to talk like each other, right? But there's a familiarity there. And so if you call them from an unknown number, right? And they picked the phone and you said, "Hey," they would know who you were, right? They would know who you were. They would not have to be like, "Who is this?" or blah, 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 right? They would just know you. Why? Because there's proximity there. There's familiarity there, right? They have been with you long enough to understand the cadence in your voice, to understand that extra pitch, right, that you may have when you say, "Hey," right? It is the exact same way with the Lord, y'all. Right? If you have that consistent connection and you are consistently talking to him and you're consistently seeking his word, right? Because how he primarily talks to us, right, is through his word, okay, through the Bible. And so if you get to know him, right, and you get to learn his character, you get to learn his voice, you get to know his attributes, when something pops up or the devil come calling, right, mess come calling, right, because life do be life, right, but when it calls, right, you're going to automatically know this ain't it, right? This is not the Lord. This is not the Lord, right? And there will be a conviction that you will have, right? Because you will know him. He will know you. And when you cry, he will know your voice, right? So again, this is not to guilt or shame you or any of that, right? But this is to remind you that he longs to be known and he longs to know you, right? And it could literally be, listen, I talk to the Lord just like I talk to y'all, right? Like, it don't have to be, super extra formal, right? Like, it can be whatever it is you need it to be. The point is to be consistent, because consistency compounds. All right. And when life hits, because it is going to hit, and it hit on people who know him and who don't know him. Okay. So you want to make sure that you connected. Okay. So that you have an anchor. He tells us we have an anchor for our souls, right? So we can be pressed down. We can be shocked. We can be overwhelmed. We can be all the things, right? But we are not people without hope. Okay. And you deserve that. Nobody deserves to go through life crisis and literally just feel like there's no reprieve. There's no, what do y'all call it? Silver lining or light at the end of the tunnel, or however you want to talk about it, right? But we have to have hope. And scripture also tells us hope deferred makes the heart sick. It makes the heart grow sick. And so you deserve a healthy heart, right? You deserve all of the things that the Lord has declared that you can have, that you are, right? So those are the three things that are most important, right? That interpersonal level of support, that external extra layer of support, professional support, okay? And then of course the third is your relationship with the Lord. They are not in any particular order. I was just trying to remember the things that have been like anchor points for me, right? And listen, this is a bonus, okay? And this may actually be included in the circle of support. But the bonus is, listen, if you married or you trying to be married or any of that, listen, you better have a partner. You better choose well. You better choose a partner who can call down heaven's army on your behalf, who can cover you with prayer, who can drop a word on you that lets you know, right, that all of heaven is backing you up. Because listen, my husband do not play, all right? And on the days that I can't even open up a Bible because I'm frustrated or I'm defeated, feeling defeated or just mad, right? He will drop me a word, right? He will send me inspiration. And he always has, right? But during this time, it literally is like water in the desert. It is a gift. And so for you ladies out here who are, dating or looking for a partner or wishing you had, right? Wait for the right one and make sure that his heart is after God, because God will tell him exactly how to take care of your heart. So that was a little extra, but that's the update for today. And we are waiting now for scheduling of the biopsy on the back to confirm what's happening next, right? So the surgeon, basically said, yes, surgery is going to be needed to stabilize that area. However, we want to make sure we know when we go in, what are we preparing for? Are we preparing to clear out diseased bone? Are we, pulling out and looking for pieces? Like, just wanting to get clear on what the game plan is. And so I fully support that. And we are waiting patiently. In the meantime, I am mostly resting in bed and just trying to be very gentle, because they did advise me that I even need to be cautious with Pilates. I was doing Pilates in the mornings and at night every day since I've been in pain for the last 4 months. But after seeing my images and just seeing the injury on my back, the doctor was like, I would be careful. And so I don't want to play any games with it. It's not that serious. I've always worked out, and I will get back to it, once the back issue is resolved. So that's all I have for y'all today. Those are all the updates, and we will just continue to keep y'all updated and in the loop as things continue to unfold. All right. So we'll check in again soon.